So yesterday, this is the last transaction that we left off, was recognizing when we sold, when we bought a computer, right? We figured out that when we purchase our fixed assets, right, we must include everything it takes to get the asset ready for service, but also get to the store. So in this case, right, when we bought our computer, right, we had to split the tax, which we figured those numbers out. Okay. So then now we have another transaction here where we must pay for liability insurance for 12 months. And of course, it's going to be starting as of June 5th as of 2020. Okay. And it's going to be for the total amount. So it's a 12-month insurance plan for a total of $2,350. Okay. And of course, we issued a check to Sargent Insurance Company. And the policy number was 884513. So in this case, let's take a look at our chart of accounts. What could remotely be the journal or the account that we're going to be using for this transaction? Okay. Right? We bought 12 months of insurance, okay, and we issued a check.
Insurance expense.
Okay.
I'm prepaid.
Okay.
Credit checking, I think.
Good, right? Because in this case, the expenses that we have listed here are things that happen in the current month. Whereas in this case, are we going to use all 12 months of insurance? No. So therefore, we're going to pay in advance for 12 months of insurance. So there you go. So we have insurance expense. Okay. Insurance expense, $6,400. Prepaid accounts is $18,600, and of course checking is $10,100. So date here is still going to be the 5th. I think we're still on the 5th. Yes, we are. Okay. Okay, so we have insurance expense. And we have prepaid accounts. And we're going to credit our checking. Okay, so all right, so how much is it going to cost me for 1 month's worth of insurance? If I bought a total of 12 months, of insurance, how much is 1 month going to cost me?
$195.83.
Good, right? We're going to take the $2,350 and divide it by 12. To get $195.83. Okay? Since we know the grand total needs to be $2,350, you can just simply do math and just subtract that out to figure out what 11 months is going to be, which is going to be $2,150 $54.17. Okay? Right? We issued a check. What check number am I going to be using?
Uh, 1,503.
Okay, how do I know that?
From under uh, the check that you made uh, for Sergeant Insurance and Company.
Right, the check register, right? I'm not going to be giving you, once week 3 comes around, I won't be giving you any of this information. You're going to have to be able to do it on your own. So right now, I'm just laying out a stencil. So you're going to have to help me help yourself figure out these numbers. Okay, so in this case, right, we're going to be writing check number 1503 for the amount of $2,350 to Sergeant Insurance Company. Okay. And let's go ahead and make my note here. Right? First thing I'm going to recognize is the company that I am working with. So in this case, Sergeant Insurance Company. Right? I bought 12 months insurance policy number 884513, and I wrote a check number 1503. Okay. So then I need to go to my ledger because I need to update my accounts. So first thing I have here is insurance expense, which is going to be considered an operating expense. So insurance expense, again, they're all going to be in alphabetical order. So there's loss, there's business, insurance expense right here. Okay. You could say insurance for month of June. Post reference, we are still on the first page of our journal, right? We haven't finished it yet, but we are reaching towards the end. Okay. We're going to journalize 195.83 on the debit side because that's how much how much it was for that month. Okay. Then I need, yes. Yes.
It's a message in the chat.
Okay, can someone read it for me, please?
That was just me. I'm sorry. I was just trying to say that I'm going to be in and out because I woke up really sick today.
That's okay. If you need to leave the class at any given point in time, just go ahead and go, and then just review the videos afterwards. And I hope you feel better.
I'll review it again, but I want to try to stay for the class.
That's fine. You don't have to push yourself through this. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So that's the prepaid. That is insurance expense. Okay. So next is going to be prepaid insurance, right? So that's once again another intangible asset because we made advance payments for insurance. That means Sergeant owes me 11 months worth of insurance. So I must write this in here that I have a prepaid account. So once again, it is going to be 6.5. This is what you're going to say. Advanced payment for 11, oh my God, I can't spell, for 11 months of insurance at $195.83 per month. Okay. Once again, General Journal number 1. And this is going to be for the $2,154.17. So now, this is where we need to add up our totals. In this case, once again, since this is a normal debit balance, right? You're going to do your formula. You're going to take the previous amount of the $4,500. We're going to add $2,154.17 minus 0 for any prepaid accounts that we use for the rest of this. And this, you get a total of $6,654.17. Now, once again, you could take this formula and drag it down to the bottom of your table here so that you have a running balance. So all you have to do is just enter either the debit or credit and it will automatically calculate for you. Okay? All right. So that's that one there. Okay. Last but not least, we need to update our checking account. Okay, so there you go. Checking account. 6.5. Right? And all the information that we really need is just the check number itself. Right? Because that will tell us everything we need to know. It will tell us the date of when, how much we paid, and who we paid. So, check number 1503. And we wrote a check, so we spent money. So we have to put this on the credit side for $2,350, which, once again, should give you now a remaining balance in your bank account to be $11,561.29. Okay. So in this case, I'm going to be reading out numbers so that because if you are going to be going over these answers in the videos, sometimes the numbers can get hard to see. So there you go, $11,561.29. Okay. And now that was just finishing the ledger. In this case, we dealt with an insurance company who's going to be providing us insurance. So, therefore, we also need to update our subsidiary ledger, okay? Because this is a person that we're dealing with, a vendor who's providing a service to us. So, for any reason we have issues with our insurance policies or etc., we actually have the reference number as well as the information on this policy. So, June 5th, right? We purchased 12 months insurance plan at $195.83 a month. Okay. And we used check 1503 to make a payment. Okay. So again, invoice number is going to be your policy number, right? Because usually a policy number is going to tell you your description of what you bought, etc., etc. So 884513. Post reference, once again, this was on our first general journal. Insurance policies usually don't give you terms, so we could skip all that. The total bill amount was $2,350, right, for the whole year. And guess what? We paid for the whole month. So therefore, once again, this is how my formula is going to go. It's going to be your invoice amount minus any prepaid, minus any returns, minus any discounts, and minus payments. Okay? And that should give you to equal 0, right? Because that's what the policy number was. That's what I paid it for. Okay? All right. So there you go. Now, this is where we finished all 3 worksheets, right? We finished completing the journal. The step after that is updating a ledger, which gave us all of our account balances. And then last but not least, because we dealt with an individual, a person, we must update the subsidiary ledger. Okay? Especially when we look at vendors that we frequently use, right? We want to keep track of what we owe them, what we have to make payments for. So subsidiary ledger could be very useful to you, especially when you don't have to go through all the scenarios just to figure out how much you owe them, right? You have it through it. If you recorded it, you have it in your books. Okay. All right. Right, next scenario here. Right, we're on the next day. Yes?
Teacher, before the next scenario, I have a question about the number of the check. You gave us the number on the question,
Okay.
Syrian Insurance Company, and you said, and my classmate Brian, when you ask from where you know this number, he said from the question, and you said from cash register or bank register or checking register, something like this. Why? This is the giving here from question, as he said.
Okay, so in this case, right, I am helping you understand how this works, right? I told you for the first 2 weeks, I'm going to tell you what to do. So in this case, I wrote it out because I'm giving it to you. But when we move into week 3 and week 4, none of this is going to be here. And you're going to tell me how to do everything, and you're going to have to figure out what check numbers you're going to be using. So right now, I'm going to give it to you, okay? Because I'm going to help you get to where you need to be. But once week two is over, you're going to have this exact scenario right here, but none of these journal entries are going to be here. None of these descriptions are going to be here. You're going to have to tell me how to do it. Now, of course, I'm not just going to, have you guys guess the whole thing. No, I'll guide you through your readings or through the scenario, but you need to know, well, where did this check 1503 came from? Where did it come from? Yes, it's given on here, but it's like in real life, right? If you're given a checkbook, right? And I tell you to write a check, how would you get that number?
From the check register.
Correct, right? Because here, your check register or your check registers is a list of a whole bunch of checks that you have to write. So in this case, right, that's your only indicator on where you can get the check. But yes, I see where you're going from. Yeah, I did give it to you because I'm training you on what to write in your journals. So then when I do give you the reins and you guys are going to be helping me create your transactions, I want you to know that you must have these kind of details or this kind of information to be considered the details for that transaction. So I need you guys to tell me this, but I'm showing you as we go through this, that's the kind of information you should be recording. Okay?
Thank you, teacher.
Okay? So then, now, new day. It is finally June 6th. And here we apply for a business credit card to National Bank. Right? Do we need to do a transaction here?
No.
Yes, no.
Okay, no, because all we did was apply. Did we get approved? We don't know. How much did we get approved for? We don't know. Okay. So good.
So this is the second time that we do an application, right? Because we haven't gotten a response from the first one either.
You will throughout the rest of the scenario. But yes, that's something that we need to keep in mind, that we applied for something. So obviously, when we get the letter in the mail, it will let us know yes or no. Okay.
Okay.
Right. So here we are. Okay. This is what I mean. Maine Bank of Nevada approves. Okay. Your line of credit. So in this case, we applied for a line of credit for Maine Bank of Nevada. And here we get the letter that they approved it. Okay. And in this case, they approved it for $10,000. Okay. Which is only going to be applicable for overdraft protections and for personal loans to be taken out in increments of $1,000. Okay. Now, again, the terms and interest that's going to be applied for every time you take this is going to be 22% applied to unpaid balances. Okay. Again, which is going to be compounded every single day. So, in this case, I got an approval for a line of credit for $10,000. Now, in this case, do I need to journalize this transaction?
No,
Why? Why not?
because you haven't used it or anything. It's just an approval. What? Unless you need it to be listed somewhere that so you know you have it. But other than that, I don't. It's not being used yet.
Correct, right? There's a condition, right? When can you use this line of credit? Only if you either overdraft or you choose to take a personal loan out. Okay, so therefore, hint, hint, you can do owner's withdrawal. Okay, but that's only the circumstances if you do need to take it out. Now, in this case, right, who are we dealing with in this scenario? Who is providing this line of credit?
Main Bank of Nevada.
Maine Bank of Nevada. Okay, so in this case, right, just because we're not going to be journalizing it, and if we don't journalize it, then we don't need to use the general ledger because there's no accounts that we need to update. However, what list do we need? What list do we have that we can put this information on?
Would it be the one that says terms and all that?
No. Well, I mean, what do you mean by terms?
There's one of the forms that lists out. Do you have any terms? But I think that's mostly purchasing.
Okay. Now, it doesn't have to always be purchasing. Isn't this a person? Isn't this a company providing me a service?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do we call those kind of people?
Vendors.
Yes. So in this case, right, our subsidiary ledger, so that's what this worksheet is called, the subsidiary ledger, okay? Now again, terms does not always have to apply for every single scenario, okay? I just put it there because it could be used for this company, it could be used for that company, or it doesn't need to be used for any company. For this example right here, insurance. You're not going to be able to take terms on insurance, but this is definitely a information I can put in here. Now, of course, this is information that's pertinent to a transaction, but you're not necessarily needing to record it. This is called information that we can put on the statement to our financial statements, right? The notes to the financial statements. But in this case, we're not going to be doing a fancy report. So the best place to be able to put this information is going to be here on your subsidiary ledger. So let's go ahead and find the national bank. Because what if I do end up using, okay, sorry, not National Bank, Main Bank of Nevada. What if I do end up using or overdrafting my bank account? I'm going to be certainly billed for that, correct? It may not be now, but it will definitely be in the future. So in this case, right, I could put this in the notes because it's a potential opportunity for me to be able to use that $10,000. Because it's just a protection plan, right? So there could be a high possibility, and if I do, right, I'm going to be charged 22% interest. So therefore, I'm also at risk of being charged money. So that's definitely going to be something I will be billed for. So that's going to be definitely information I need to put in somewhere so I know what my bill, when I receive my bill, I don't look at it and be like, well, what is this agreement and what are these terms, right? So in this case, Main Bank of Nevada, right? You could go ahead and say, approved line of credit for $10,000 for overdraft protection / withdraw of $1,000, okay? Interest 22% compound daily. That means every day it's late, you're going to get hit with interest.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is 22%, is that something that's feasible? Like, that seems like a really high number.
A normal standard credit card is 28%, 28.9%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in this case, you're borrowing money from the bank. The bank's going to charge you up, a lot of money because they can. And this is because this is for overdraft protection. So think about it. As a business, you need to be managing your money wisely. But in this case, if you want to take this money for a personal loan, yes, 22% is a fair percentage, and it's not 22% per day. It's an annual percentage rate. So that means you're going to divide that by 12, or you can divide it by the number of days that there are, so 365. So it's really actually not that much. Okay? But of course, as you go through and you continuously not pay, you actually end up racking up a lot more interest than you think. So again, that's the price of borrowing money. Okay? Now, this isn't a personal loan, because usually personal loans or anything like that, usually it is a lower rate. But in this case, this is more or less like a credit card. This is for, overdraft protection. Okay? All right, so that's the 22% is right there. Okay? And again, I don't need to put any other information because I don't have any other information because I haven't received a bill yet. Okay, but this is just going to give me a reminder. So then when I do receive the bill, at least I know what I was getting myself into. It wasn't like it's a surprise, nor was it something that I didn't agree to. Right. All right.
Teacher,
Yes.
uh, personal loan 1,000. Is this breaks the entity gap entity, the personal and the company of transaction?
Well, of
I think
course,
this.
it depends, right? Because again, if you are the owner of the company, right, you can take money from your company at any given time, but you can't use it. Basically, you can't charge your business credit card to pay for something that's personal, right? But you can take money away from your company, right? Write yourself a check and use it for personal stuff. That's completely 100% valid. However, you just can't use your business credit card to charge for for a personal transaction. That's that's the business and economic entity. However, yes, the owner can take the money whenever they like from the company, put it into their personal checking account, and spend that money because the business and the owner is one. So whatever the owner owns, or whatever the business owns, the owner owns. Okay? This is just worded so that in case the owner wants to take this line of credit and wants to pull money out, do an owner's withdrawal, he can do personal loans up to increments of $1,000 each. Okay? He can take this money from the company and use it for his own personal loan. But he's still subject to that 22%. Because remember, him and the business are one, right? Just because the business owes money, that means the owner owes the money.
Thank you.
All right, so next section says that the accountant has created this account. In this case, you can just ignore this one because we already moved it. We already acknowledged it. So in this case, next thing that we have here is that we are going to make a purchase order. Okay, purchase order number 17301 to furniture store, and we're gonna buy a desk set, okay, which cost $562. Total cost $562. Okay. This is a purchase order. Do we need to journalize this transaction?
No.
Yeah.
So I have one person that says no and I have one person that says yes, okay? So why yes?
I would say yes because so even though you haven't received it, it's just purchased. Isn't it still like an invoice?
Did you actually receive a bill?
No.
What does a purchase order do? It just simply requests, right? Did you pay
Okay, so
somebody?
it's like the bank. So it's like the bank where it's just like a notice that you applied. So now this is just like a notice that you purchased something.
Correct. And what do we call these? These are called non-posting transactions. So the correct answer is no, you do not need to journalize this because all you're simply doing is you're requesting to buy something. You're sending a notification to this vendor saying, I want to purchase this from your catalog. Now, we don't know. We have the quoted amount, but what if they come back to us and say, well, we have your item, but because it was so big, we had to ship it to your store, so we're going to charge you all this and this. Okay? Another thing too is because you purchase a fixed asset, we had to charge you tax. Okay? So this right here is just the quoted amount of what the catalog says. It says that it's quoted for $562. But in this case, this number that we're using here, the $562, is just a reference point. So then when you do end up receiving this, this desk set, you can acknowledge that this is the correct, you can match up your purchase orders with your actual invoice. Okay, so in this case, right, do we need to journalize this? No, we don't. However, if you're going to be constantly buying a bunch of stuff, I think you should definitely keep a track record to make sure that you receive the items that you purchase, but also that in case you don't receive it, you can go and call the furniture store and say, hey, where is my item at? I thought I sent you a purchase order. I have proof right here. Okay? So in this case, where do you think we can place this piece of information?
Under vendors?
Not vendors, because this isn't a bill.
I don't know.
We have a purchase order list. Right? Here we are. Purchase order. Oh, whoops. Purchase order number 17301, which is the exact number we have here. Okay. Date that we sent this out was the 6th. Who did we send this purchase order to? Furniture store. Okay. What did we buy from the furniture store? We bought a desk. Okay. What was the quoted amount on the purchase order? $562. Okay? And when we receive the item, we need to check mark that yes, we received our order by the invoice number, or in this case, that's what we're going to be billed, right? We're going to be billed an invoice number, and that's the number that we're going to double confirm that when we that we sent out a purchase order, we received the items. So in this case, you do have a purchase order list. Okay. So then here you go, you have a second purchase order, but this time we decided to buy a counter and a 5 display shelves, okay? So in this case, when we sent out our first purchase order, I guess we just forgot to put this on there as well, right? So in this case, let's go ahead and do our second purchase order here. So again, it's the 6th. Who did we request this purchase order from? Furniture store. What did we buy? A counter / shelves. Okay. And for how much was the quoted amount? $15.43. Okay, so that means when we do receive the bill, we need to make sure our numbers match. Especially if, what if they accidentally sent us a different desk and it was priced differently? Then they sent you the wrong item. So that's why it's very important that you do match your purchase order with your items that you receive, because sometimes it's a common thing. They can either overship you, they can undership you, or they might send you the wrong product overall. Okay? So that is our job, because we are going to be also purchasing inventory as well. So we want to make sure that we do receive our inventory. Okay? Next thing that we have here is that the electricity is now connected. $100 deposit is required, okay? We're going to make this payable. We're going to make this payable to NV Utilities. So let's journalize this. So in this case, we had to do a deposit for electricity. Okay, very common for most utilities is you always have a little deposit, and then at the end of, when you do leave, you will potentially get this deposit back. Okay, so in this case, this deposit is just to ensure that you are, using the resources. Okay, so in this case, what do I do here?
Go to the general journal and then write a check for deposit.
Okay, so you want to go? Okay, let's journalize it first, and then we can go ahead and enter everything else later. So in this case, 6/6. Okay. What am I journalizing?
A deposit for 100 to Nevada Utilities.
Good, right? We got deposit, and we're gonna write a check. Okay. And deposits, if you look from right above, it should be 18,700. Checking is 10,100. And you said for the amount of $100. Okay. So then we're going to go to our check register, because that's how we figure out the number, right? We need to go ahead and actually write a check. So in this case, it is 6/6 for $100 to Nevada NV Utilities. Okay. So that means I wrote check number 1504. Okay. So that means my journal is going to have this information saying that I dealt with NV Utilities. Okay. And I wrote check number 1504 for electricity deposit. Okay. So now that I affected once again a deposit and I'd affected my checking account, I need to enter this into my ledger. Okay, so once again, I'm going to do it in the exact order so I don't jump around and forget an account. So in this case, deposit should be towards the very end of this. Okay, here we are, deposit. Okay, it's the 6. We have electricity deposit. Okay. We are still on our first journal for $100. So in this case, right, I'm going to take my previous number, add 100 minus 0 to give me a total of $1,600. Okay. And because it also affected my checking account, I need to know how much money I have left. So in this case, checking 66, right? I wrote a check number 1504, right? Still on general journal number 1, but this time I'm going to credit $100, which will drop my account from 11,561 to 11,461.29. Okay. So once again, I finished my journal, right? I finished my ledger. Now, because I dealt with another service provider, right? NV Utilities, they're providing me electricity. So that means I need to update my subsidiary ledger because I also made a payment to NV Utilities. So, NV Utilities right here, right? It is the 6. We had to pay electricity deposit. Okay. Was there an invoice number? In this case, it says invoice number 502. Post reference, general journal number 1. No terms because this is just a deposit. Right? In this case, right? This is what I want you to do, just so then you have this on hand. Now, because this is a deposit, eventually this money is going to come back to you. But in this case, right, you can also treat this as if they billed you $100 and you need to pay for it because that was the price of turning on electricity. That they charged you $100, but even though that $100 will eventually come back to you. Okay? But in this case, when we understand this, that they sent us a bill saying, if you want the electricity to be on, you must send me $100. So therefore, that becomes an invoice amount. Okay? And yes, we did pay for it, right? We paid with a check number 1504. Okay? So in this case, yes, we did make a payment for that $100 deposit. So once again, formula is going to be invoice amount minus prepaid minus returns minus discounts minus payments. Okay. So there you go. I owe NV Utilities nothing right now because that was the price for me to turn on the electricity. Okay. Okay, everybody good so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So now that we made a deposit for electricity, let's see what happened next. All right. You have telephone services is connected. Okay. And then it says right here, installation fees to be included with the first month's bill. So, do we need to journalize this transaction?
No.
No, because in this case, right, a service has happened, but there was a condition, or in this case, right, it notes you that you won't be receiving you won't be charged until you receive the first bill. So in this case, right, we're in the month of June. What is that going to tell us? That means when are we going to receive the month's bill? Right? Especially with telephone services, right? It needs to record what you did for the month of June. So in this case, you're not going to receive it until the very next month. But it is good to know that you are going to be charged, right? Installation fees, but again, that should be all on that bill. So in this case, is it necessary that you write this in somewhere? Not really, just because you're given that you're going to obviously pay for the telephone bill, right? And your installation to be able to turn it on or to connect the telephone / internet, right? Usually the telephone comes with internet, are all going to be included on that first month's bill. So in this case, no transaction. Okay. So then we have natural gas is connected. Another $100 deposit is required, payable to NV Utilities. Okay, invoice number 552. In this case, we received yet another bill. Okay, because in this case, right, in order to turn on natural gas, it is also required you to put down another deposit. So, how am I going to journalize this one this time?
Basically the exact same thing, but with checking number 1505.
Correct, right? It's going to be identical to this, but the difference is the check number 1505. Okay, so good. Right? And I can squeeze it into my journal right here. Right? We're still on the same day. So Thursday the 6th. But this time, instead of NV Utilities, we're going to make changes saying this is check number 1505. Okay, and this is for natural gas deposit. Okay. So once again, I need to go to my check register to go ahead and enter this information in here, right? Another $100, and it's going to be NV Utilities. So if you prefer to have a section for your notes here, at least you're able to tell the difference between the first one, which is your electricity deposit, and this one's going to be the natural gas deposit. So in this case, right, that's if you need the notes, but in this case, like we're linking from our journal and so on and so forth. So it's kind of, to me, I think it's straightforward what the reasoning is for. Okay. So now we are done with page number 1 because there's nothing else that we can fill out on page 1. So therefore, next transaction I'm going to be writing is going to be on page 2. Okay. So once again, since I finished my journal, I must now go to my ledger account and also post this to my subsidiary ledger. So let's go ahead and take the second to do that. Okay, once again, I'm going to go in the exact order just because I don't want to skip around. So this is an asset. We made another deposit. Okay. The 6, right? But this time this is natural gas. Or that was the last transaction we had in the first journal. So therefore, I added another $100. So once again, 1,600 plus another 100 is going to give you 1,700. Okay. All right, last thing that we need to update is going to be our checking account because we end up writing another check, okay? And that check is check number 1505, okay? And yet, we're going to credit our account once again by another $100, which should give us now 11,361.29. 11,361.29. Okay. Now that we finished the journal, we finish updating our accounts, we do need to now update our subsidiary ledger because now we have another separate bill in regards to the natural gas that we just turned on. Okay, so once again, this is for natural gas deposit, and we used check number 15. Right? In this case, did we have an invoice number? Yes, we did. 552. It happened on our first journal. Same idea here, right? They said, in order to turn on the natural gas, you must pay me $100. Okay? And of course, we paid them with check number 1505. And I fat fingered this. Okay, so equal this. All right, and if you did put your equation in here, like I said, this equation can be dragged down. So I'm gonna use my fill handle tool to drag that formula down to tell me that I owe them nothing right now. Okay. Okay. So let's go ahead and see what happened next. So same day, June 6th, right? We haven't changed the next day yet. June 6th rolls around. And here you decide that you're going to send another purchase order to Hallie Bros. But because you want to purchase a coffee grinder and a coffee brewer. Okay? So here's the details into that. Now, of course, Hallie Bros requires a third down payment. So in this case, right, pre-calculated already, it's going to be $1140.22. Okay, so they require a down payment for this for for you to go ahead and make a purchase. So in this case, right, if I have to make a down payment, right, it's going to be considered a prepaid account because it's going to be applied to the invoice, right? This is technically not a deposit because in this case, if it was a deposit, I would be getting my money back. But this is a prepaid account because it is money that you're paying, making an advance payment for. And when you do receive the items, it's going to be applied onto the invoice. So that's the difference here when we're treating the difference between a deposit and a prepaid account. So in this case, right, I have to make this prepaid account or I have to make this down payment in order for Hallie to ensure that we are going to be committing to buy the coffee brewer and coffee grinder. Okay? So, in this case, how should I journalize this?
Prepaid checking.
Prepaid accounts, right? And checking, right? How much is my total amount that I am going to write this check out for?
1140.22.
1140.22. Okay. So in this case, right, I need to go to my check register. All right, I need to grab my check number. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and so this is 1506 for 1140 and 22 cents. Out to who?
Hallie Bros.
Hallie Bros. Okay. So then, now that I have this and I know it's going to be check number 1506, I can now make a note in here, right? Saying I am issuing this to Hallie Bro. Okay, which they required. This is going to be on my purchase order number 170303 because I haven't received a bill yet. But because this quoted amount and they required me to do a third down payment, therefore the only reference point I have here is just my purchase order. Okay? So my purchase order, okay? And then of course I need to also make a note here that I'm making a third down payment. Okay? Using check number 1506. Okay. So, let's go ahead and update our ledger. Okay. With your prepaid accounts towards the bottom. Okay, here you go. Prepaid accounts. So I'm going to go ahead and note that I have a third down payment on a brewer and grinder. Okay. This is General Journal number 2 because we started the new one. Okay. And this down payment is for the $11.40 and 22 cents. So therefore, I'm going to add this to my prepaid accounts. So in this case, what is going to be my total ending balance in my prepaid accounts? Right? If I started out with $6,654.17, and I'm going to add an additional $11.40.22.
It's gonna be 7,785.39.
$7,094.39. Good. Okay. So then, now I need to go ahead and update my checking account because I issued a check. Right? I need to update so then now I know how much left I have in my checking account. Okay? This is for check number 1506. Right? General Journal. Nope. General Journal number 2 here. Okay? And I cut a check for $11.40 and 22 cents. So then now I should have left remaining $10,221.07. Okay? $10,221.07. Okay? So again, journal is done. So is the ledger. So now I need to, because I did deal with a vendor, right? I issued a check to them. So in this case, right, I'm expected to them to provide me with my items. So in this case, I do need to update my subsidiary ledger because I am expecting items to be sent to me from this vendor. So again, these are all in alphabetical order. There we are, Hallie Bros. Date is going to be the 6th. And then what was this? You ordered, right? A coffee grinder and a coffee brewer. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to write 1/3 down payment on coffee brewer / grinder. Okay. Using check number 1506. Okay. Invoice number, in this case, right, I don't have an invoice number, but the purchase order number is going to be my reference point because is what I'm making a linkage to, right? I already have a quoted amount on the items, but because it was required of me to pay a third of it, I have to at least put down the purchase order number so I have a reference point. So in this case, purchase order number 17303. Okay. Post reference General Journal number 2. We don't have terms yet because we haven't received the bill, okay? And this is how I want you to use this because, yes, we made a prepayment, but in order for this to be successfully, to use this table successfully, I want you to go ahead and do it exactly how I do it. In this case, right, in order for me to even receive my items, I was obligated to have to pay a third of the price. So in this case, they billed me saying, if you want these items, you must pay $11.40.22. Okay, so that therefore that means they billed you. Okay, they billed me saying I owe them $11.40.22 in order for them to ship out the items to me. And of course, I paid it with check number 1506. So therefore, this is going to mean I owe Hallie Bros nothing. Okay? Now, when we receive the items, this is where I'm going to show you how to use this table. So let's wait for the bill to arrive, and I'll show you what you do next when you do receive the bill. Okay? All right. So, any questions so far?
No.
No.
Okay, so I'm going to stop here, okay, and let's go ahead and take our 20-minute break here. So right now it is 9:45, so please be back no later than 10:05. Wait, that's only, 20 minutes, 10:05.